Season 6, Episode 10 of Better Call Saul, titled Nippy, is the episode that true fans have been waiting for since day one. A full black and white episode that follows Gene Takovic, rather than just a few minutes at the start of the first episode of each season. Pair that with the fact that last time we saw Gene was when he got made by Jeff the cab driver and vowed to fix the situation himself, and also the fact that we didn't get a Gene opening for this final season, and this episode becomes even more special. I say that quote-unquote true fans are the ones that have been waiting for this episode because honestly, I was genuinely shocked at the amount of slander and negative reception this episode got from a lot of people, calling it everything from filler to nonsensical. One comment I saw even complained that the entire episode was in black and white. I mean, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, of course, but sometimes I wonder what fans of the show really like it for, because Nippy was a wonderful showcase of just about everything that makes this series amazing. But whatever, on to the discussion. Okay, look, before I get into the episode itself, I gotta bring up that intro. Holy fuck, that sent chills down my spine. While I would of course love if the show dropped each season in full, all at once, like many other shows do these days, there is something to be said about the universal experience between fans watching a series of this caliber live every week. And this intro was a perfect example of that. I felt lucky and privileged to have witnessed that moment in real time. We all kind of figured the intros for these last few episodes would possibly shake up the norm, given that we have 13 episodes this season instead of 10, but still, I was not expecting something this abrupt. It gave me an eerie, almost unsettling feeling, as if it was an affirmation of the daunting reality that we're in the endgame of this phenomenal show. I'm super curious to see what they do with the intros for the remaining 3 episodes. Hell, if we even get intros for them. Alright, let's talk about the episode now. I have been dying to find out what happens after that riveting
I'm gonna fix it myself
from the last Gene opening, and the outcome we got here did not disappoint in the slightest. In the cold open, we see the seeds for Gene's solution being planted as he takes initiative and strikes first before Jeff can. He locates Jeff's mother, Marion, played by Carol Burnett, who they announced will be coming to the show later this season, and uses his infectious charisma, a made-up dog, and a bit of good old-fashioned foul play to befriend her and get her in his corner. After sabotaging her scooter, he takes her home, and the two are bubbly and chatty as Jeff comes back from work. He's clearly taken aback and disoriented at the situation, which Gene takes full advantage of. Keeping up the momentum, he gets Jeff alone and tells him that he's got the guy all figured out. He hasn't turned Gene into the police yet, so clearly he wants the man for something. Gene says, alright, fine.
I will show you the game, and then we're done.
And so begins the return of Slippin' Jimmy, this time in his final form. After all that character development from both Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. Honestly, all I could think during the first half of this scene, when Gene was sweet-talking and befriending Marion, was, old people love Jimmy. What unfolds afterwards for the remainder of the episode is one of the most ambitious scams that Jimmy/Saul has ever tried to pull off, with some fantastic sequences and camera work from the crew. We see Gene slip Marco's ring back on, and we even almost get one of his trademark "it's showtime, folks" mirror shots. We get a beautiful montage that the showrunners are just so damn good at putting together at this point, and we see Gene draw from the charm and charisma that he's always had before, as he befriends a couple of security guards in order to help him pull off the scam. There are some cool callbacks to previous Gene openings to be found here, such as the SG was here from season 2, and the fact that one of the security guards in the office was the same one from the season 3 opening.
Get a lawyer!
And speaking of callbacks, how about Gene bringing up Walter White during one of those training sessions with Jeff? That was totally unexpected.
That's crazy.
The scam in this episode is one of those classic show don't tell scams that the writers and directors of this series do so well. We don't really know what for sure Gene is up to until we get fairly close to the end. We see what Jerry's been up to after Parks and Rec,
What's in the waistline?
and how easy it is to win the guy over with a few cinnamon buns. We see how resourceful Jimmy still is when it comes to thinking on his feet, exemplified by his phone call with the woman who runs the department store that Jeff is going to steal from.
Thank you.
And we get one of the most nail-biting moments of tension this show has ever given us, when Jeff slips and falls on the newly waxed floor of the mall and passes out for a minute or so. Jeff is a huge liability for Gene, should he get caught and arrested, and I honestly thought that's what was going to happen there for a moment, until Gene thought fast and started spilling his life story to Jerry from Parks and Rec. Speaking of, I loved how raw and genuine that confession was. Of course, it was all to buy Jeff some time, but still, I like that he had to resort to brutal honesty in that moment as the only way to ensure Jerry would give Gene his undivided attention. I was utterly fascinated with Jimmy's character in this episode. Until this point, we have only seen Gene as the quiet, reserved, lonely, and depressed remnant of what he once was. There's no color in the man's life, save for his old life as Saul Goodman. Throwback to the pilot. So seeing him the way he was in this episode was beautiful. Everything I wanted out of the inevitable Gene episode, and then some. We see him slip back into his old shoes as if he never skipped a beat, and he's just as good at it, if not better, thanks to his experiences in Breaking Bad as well, than he was before. For the first time in his post-Saul Goodman days, he finally felt alive, but clearly is still tormented by the past, as is made evident by his somber monologue to Jerry. This arc is wrapped up in a beautiful little bow in the closing moments of the episode when Gene visits the mall after successfully orchestrating the heist. He picks out a snazzy-looking suit and tie and longingly observes it before ultimately hanging it back up and walking away. Obviously, this is supposed to represent him finally hanging up the Saul Goodman persona, but with 3 episodes still remaining, I'm not so sure this is the end of it. We'll see, though. A couple final thoughts on this superb episode before I close out the video. I absolutely love the fact that this entire heist orchestrated by Gene for Jeff was essentially just insurance for Gene, because now Jeff's hands are dirty. So if he tries in any way to bring Jimmy down, he's going down too. Going off that, I was taken with how similar, yet how different, Slip and Jimmy came off in this episode compared to how we know him in the overall show. I don't think the Jimmy we know and love from the first few seasons would have cut Marion Scooter, nor would he have been as assertive and threatening as he was to Jeff. Like I mentioned before, this felt like Jimmy's final form, after his complete moral degradation in Breaking Bad. And finally, I highly doubt we've seen the last of Marion. The showrunners made a pretty big deal about Burnett coming onto the show, which has to mean she's in more than one episode, which, by extension, means we're not done with Jeff either. There's 3 episodes left. I honestly have no idea what's going to happen, and I am, anxiously excited to see what happens. But that's it, guys. Those are my thoughts on this absolutely phenomenal episode. I really wanted to make this video because I've just seen so many people, slandering this episode, and I can't believe it. So I just wanted to get my 2 cents out there. Hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts, my breakdown, quick little analysis of this episode. If so, consider dropping a like, consider subscribing if you like what I do. And until next time, guys, peace out. Thanks for watching.